This is episode number 473 of WPwatercooler. Write it down. Blogging for fun and making friends. Thanks. I'm Jason Tucker.
He's here. He blogs at jasontucker.blog. I'm Say Reed. I do stuff at Say Reed Media. Oh, no.
And y'all know who it is. It's your boy Jason Cosper back at it again on the world's most influential WordPress podcast.
Speaking of that podcast, you can go and subscribe to us wherever you find great podcasts. And look, we're not just a Discord, but we're also a podcast.
Good point. I do want to say I had mentioned this to you too. That I think I'm going to incorporate into my intro that I am a 2024 California State Lottery winner for the duration of the year, because, you know, Cosper's little tagline there started as a joke.
Yes.
So there's some manifestation going on here.
If we just sit here and manifest something and say it, every week, then obviously, so far that's been happening. So I'm just going to do that. And if you understand, I haven't won yet, but I'm pretty sure by the end of this year, it's going to be a different conversation. Yes. Influence and money. Power. There's a song about that, right?
Here's the problem, though, is appears that when I said that we were the most influential podcast, it turned out to be like a monkey paw wish. Because
a monkey paw wish. Oh no! Look at that little piano you got.
Yeah. Let's not get into all that, though. We're here to talk about blogging today.
Yes.
Did you know that WordPress does blogging? It's like one of the things you can do is actually write a blog using WordPress. Yeah,
posts are so kind of neglected these days. We've got all our fancy custom post types, and posts are over here I'm important too.
I mean, I've seen people in on Reddit and on different forums and stuff saying does WordPress still need the post feature? Does that still need to be a thing?
In our Slack and on the Fediverse, Alda, who hangs out there pretty regularly in both places, is very much not our Slack, our Discord.
Get your brands right, okay?
No brand. No brand. But either way, on the Fediverse, in our Discord, Alda is very much in favor of why do we even need comments anymore? And part of me sometimes I think that WordPress, especially as they kind of are redoing things, as they're redoing the admin and everything else, it might benefit them to do what Automatic did with Jetpack a few years ago and start to modularize parts of it. So
comments is a plugin. What?
Yeah, I mean,
we talk about things going from a plugin into core. We don't talk a lot about taking something out of core into a plugin, because was it the
links?
blog roll, link roll?
Yeah.
Links. It was
It's called links.
That's called links.
But it was a blog roll. Okay, that is actually a perfect segue. So I am setting up a blog.
Oh, look at you.
Oh.
Face yourself.
2024.
Say Reads the Internet.
It's called what?
Say Reads
the Internet. I think it's the default website right now. I was setting it up last night and I got really distracted because I went to go change the site title. So I don't think I've actually changed the site title. So please let's not go there, okay? It's just another WordPress website right now, which is what the site title has been for the default install site title for, I don't know, the whole time? Most of the time?
Sure.
A good portion of the time.
Good portion of it.
And I was looking at it and I was like, wait, this is so weird. The site title is just another WordPress site, but then there's no instructions. And then under the tagline, it was empty. but there's a little instruction description box that said, describe what your site does. Example, just another WordPress site. And I was like, but that's the title. That's not I'm so confused here. So I actually went, because I can't stop myself. See, this is the problem. I can't stop helping. Everyone's got their own problems. Mine is not being helpful. That's my struggle. Excuse me. So I went to Core Track and I went to see like site title and tagline. And it turns out that's actually been changed recently. I believe, if I have grasped the ticket history thread enough, the placeholder in the tagline was removed from removed because placeholders are, inaccessible. They're not good accessibility. And then I believe it used to say in both the site title and the tagline, just another WordPress site. Anyway, I was very confused. So there's an active open issue about this related. So I just went and like, here I am contributing instead of like, doing my blog. And I was like, this is my problem. Dang it. This is why open source and contributing is such a thing. But I can't even set up a freaking blog without contributing back. It's really annoying. That's all I have to say. I'll put the show notes to the issue so y'all can read that. But I just thought that was really funny that happened while I was just trying to set up the damn site. Anyway, so about comments, comments should be pulled out. They suck. No one uses them. Oh, except us. WordCamp press in
I mean, if you are using the ActivityPub plugin on your site, you need comments because people can comment on your the posts, and those get sent back to you as comments. If you're using WooCommerce, reviews get slotted into comments. Same table. So they basically for a while they were trying to do everything the WordPress way and not make any new tables, which I think it was the WordPress way because that was the way that it was easiest to host stuff on WordPress.com. But I mean, that's just my own little personal conspiracy theory there. But we don't need to get into that
for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some more of those.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have I have an entire blog that maybe I can spin some Jason Cosper's conspiracies.blog.
Is that really a site?
No.
Oh, dang. Okay. That would be too brandy. You don't want that. Okay. So I comments, right? There are
I turn them off
completely.
I turn them off on like every site I ever use. I pull out like the parts for the template. Because I put the ActivityPub plugin on my site late last year, I started a blog that as many blogs do, people start them with good intentions and they fizzle for a second. But I put up a site last year called perennially.online. And I'm going to try to post there a little bit more, sort of stretch my legs a little bit, but it was kind of like I've blogged for years at jasoncosper.com, but there's just so much like cruft and crap, and I will argue that sometimes you just need to start over.
Well, this is what we just were talking about, that, right? Like the idea of like this sort of like fresh start and data legacy. So like this is like the other side. This topic I think is like the other side to that coin, right? Starting fresh, which I think is really important from a business standpoint. But then there's also sort of and we talked about this last week too, the negative aspects of it. But there's the live journal aspect of it, the documentation aspect of it,
still whether for private from site to site.
Yeah, like there is something to be said for documenting things that are happening in a public way. And
Sure.
there are a lot of the line between a blog and a news source or journalism has blended to be, I don't know, is it almost imperceptible completely? Is it based off of website design? Is it like if it keeps category in its permalink? Like what? Like I don't know what makes it something a blog versus, an article, or
Sure.
Journalism versus, a journal, first person journalism versus journaling.
I
fine line. I think that's been.
I almost feel like the casualness of blogging, the sort of sometimes the tendency that anybody can start things up and can just sort of say whatever they want to say, that blogging has a tendency and has helped make journalism a little more bombastic, because it's like, here
Right.
I'm just it's keyboard warriors basically, just out there like trying to push things along, trying to take things.
Reshape the narrative in the comments,
Yes,
for example.
absolutely.
So
Right.
that has really transferred. That came from blogging and is now really transferred over. I mean, I think I read a lot of stuff that says, let us know in the comments, and there's like no comments because I'm not reading it like on their webpage or whatever. But
Right.
I've never really been a comment section participator, lurker for sure, but not participator. So I don't really know these days, besides Reddit, which is basically all comments. Is that really even a thing that's happening on more of the like, maybe that is really what is the line of demarcation between a blog and journalism, is that you can't talk back to the official articles?
Well, yeah, you can talk on but not back, because there are I don't know about you two with what, like the Whittier Daily News and like the Press Telegram in Long Beach, but
local media has died.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all owned by one big conglomerate.
It's Instagram accounts. There's one Instagram accounts, Long Beach Local News. The local. I'm sorry, I just have to talk about that for a second. The local newspaper here, the Long Beach Post, run on Newspack, incidentally. I know the web dev recently converted to a nonprofit, has gone through multiple holdings, and was founded by our House Representative, Robert Garcia, who was recently cited on Bravo's Watch What Happens Live for making a housewife reference. Housewives reference on the House floor.
Sure.
Anyway, long story short,
too late.
Pack, and is that a blog?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
I think it's all blogs now, because the thing I was about to get at is
it's all blogs now.
It is though, because our local paper,
limited merch run is happening for that.
The Bakersfield Californian has and has had for at least the past like 10 to 15 years on every article. And I remember, I'm enough of a internet old that I remember that newspaper articles didn't have a comment section at the bottom where like the most toxic like commenters hang out and just say like stop the steal and whatever other wild ass conspiracy theories and everything else. Like the comment section, I kind of get what Alda is saying. It's like, let's get rid of the cesspool, because comments in a lot of places. And I actually think it's really interesting, somebody who's been doing blogging for 20 plus years now, Jason Kottke, just turned on comments on his site after not having them for like years and years and years.
Because engagement and community and membership and dialogue.
Yeah.
That's now like it's shifting over, but it's like moderated comments, right? It's like with codes of conduct and like, you know, like banning.
You have to pay
$5
a month. You have to pay $5 a month to basically have the right to comment on the site. So he has figured out how to like monetize. Yeah.
That's the Elon.
I mean, well, the people that piloted that all the way back in the day is Something Awful in the Something Awful forums.
Yes.
In order to comment there, in order to interact or be on there, you paid $5 for your account, and they would routinely kick people off. And what would those people do? They'd turn around and just pay another $5 and get back on the site. It was
okay, but wait, hold on.
Absolute revenue driver.
That's a great idea, but what is the difference between forums and blog comments? You're really driving me into an existential crisis here, Cosper. I don't know what anything is anymore.
Every time I try,
forums are multi-author, multi-commenter, multi. You know,
is blogs?
Helen?
No, forums.
Ah, gotcha. As opposed to like one voice.
Friend of the show. Sure. Friend of the show, Helen Ho Sandy, said that really all the internet is anymore is just a big form and a way to process the form. Like that basically like almost every web page, it has a box you can put text in and a way to process it. Like, you know, you go to a blog post, it has comments at the bottom. Okay, it's a form. There's a way to process the form. You want to write a blog post? Here's a big form. And yes, it may have a block editor attached to it, but it's just a big form.
This is exactly what I have literally because you can't get away from it. This is what, and friends of the show, longtime listeners will know. I have been, you know, I used to teach basic intro to WordPress, all that fun stuff to business owners. And I would call it a fancy data inputter. That's it. That's what it is. I mean, it's just data in and data out, right? That's at the core. That's all we're doing. And then you slap some pretties on it.
Yeah.
Right. Basically what's happening. I mean, some other fancy stuff happens a lot, but mostly it's moving data around.
Yeah.
And showing it in different ways.
Can I tap it a little bit into that moving data around part?
Yeah, tap into that. It's really cool to like moving lights.
So I don't know, like moving that data around, you find that by having HTML that has some classes, that are highly specific to the theme that you're using, or freaking short codes.
You just wrote
so now you're dragging around this like dead weight of like some bracketed short code that doesn't do anything when you're not using WordPress anymore, or you're not using whatever.
The web page like size in short code.
Yes.
Like side in short code, like it's a short code thing.
It's naked short codes on your website just is not a good look. It's not a good look.
Okay.
But what it really comes down to is having that formatted content be in Markdown. If you can write in Markdown,
and you brought up Markdown,
and you can move that content around in Markdown, then who gives a crap? Let the processor be the one that processes the Markdown.
I love Markdown.
I actually have this in my show notes that I wrote because I actually did because of the setting up of the blog. I knew this was going to be a conversation. I'll prove it to you. I was like, I should have.
But Markdown's a great skill to have.
The world can be divided into two types of people: the people who love Markdown and the people who are like, "What the hell? Stop."
Yep. John Gruber, thank you very much for making Markdown.
And Aaron Swartz, rest in peace, rest in power. True. Aaron Swartz. Yeah. But the thing that I like about Markdown, and the thing that is a big reason why I like it, and I understand why you hate it. It seems like a bunch of fiddly nerd crap. However,
it looks like gobbledygook, but it's code. It's great. I get it. It's fine.
it fails gracefully. So if you can't actually like, it does. If you have plain text files that
Okay,
aren't actually, that haven't been formatted like using the Markdown formatter or whatever, you can still read it. Sure, occasionally you have something that's bracketed and then the parentheses to put the web link into, but
you see my header?
it gives it the
You can
headers,
see
of
the header?
course.
You can read that.
What?
My little hashtags, my little header down here.
Right.
I made it a
And
header.
one of them is for the big one, and three of them are
Oh, Jesus
for
Christ. See, this is
yeah.
why I hate Markdown, because I cannot remember that to save my life. I'm gonna just, I don't think that's nice for my type of brained people. Just stop.
Sure.
Here you go.
I
Okay,
I'm
fine.
I mark down almost everything that I do, even when I'm
Oh,
writing in things that don't support Markdown, because at one point in the future, like I know that the format will still be around for years and years and years.
because if it was
And
printed
it's
out and if it was like on a tablet carved into stone, you could interpret it eventually, for sure. I
Yeah.
get it. It's
yeah.
better.
Uh-huh.
It's better than, because at the end of the day, code is code. You know what I mean? Like it's code for something.
Mhm.
And
You know
there's
what I
so
mean?
many
Fucking A.
flavors of Markdown. So if
Ooh.
Markdown doesn't work for you, there's a flavor of Markdown that may have some added
Markdown
features
pictures.
that you
Oh,
need.
there's like a mermaid markdown that I have been wanting to. No, it's not mermaid. Sorry, it might be called mermaid.
I think it
Markdown that
is.
makes diagrams. So this is how my brain thinks in diagrams and whatever. So like I'm like, ooh, haven't had the chance to play with it because chaos. But I really want to make diagrams in Markdown. That's the end of that.
Yeah.
So I might not hate it totally, but I also remembered when thinking about Markdown in terms of, formatting, that I did not, when Ghost split, right? Because I just had this confirmed
Oh.
the other day that Ghost, I thought I had remembered it wrong, because the way people are talking about Ghost now is like it was some other thing. And, names are, not unique always.
Right.
And my memory is not the best for many reasons. It's ADHD. That's why it's not the best. So like however many years ago, I remember there being the split, someone splitting from WordPress and being like, I'm over it. I'm writing Ghost. And I, poked into it. I think we even talked about it on the show. Sure we did. Otherwise, why would I look at it or no? Anyway, so I poked into it and it was in Markdown and I was like, bye. That was it. That's my story about Ghost. That's why I thought it was different, because I purged it from my mind so long ago that it was not for me, that now everyone's talking about Ghost. And I'm like, is Ghost that same thing from like whenever ago? But it is.
Well, it
Is it
kind
still in
of
Markdown?
was. I remember. I feel like yes, it is.
Okay.
I still remember initially Ghost was discussed as a simpler WordPress, and there
Right.
was maybe hints when the Kickstarter or
Mhm.
whatever crowdfunding started for it, that they were going to maybe use whatever parts of WordPress that they could to like make
Mhm.
their thing, and then they decided to just go ahead and re-engineer everything in
Right.
JavaScript, etc., and use like, I mean, it's cool because you can deploy it anywhere you can deploy a Node application, which thanks to glitch.com, it's just a couple button clicks and you can have a Ghost site like spun up pretty quickly. But yeah, it's still pretty fiddly. I was actually talking just a few days ago and even earlier this morning in a few other like group chats and slacks and stuff that I'm in, and we were talking about just how much of like putting stuff online is still a lot of like fiddly nerd shit.
Right. Isn't
It
it
is.
amazing? It really is amazing. Not in a
Yeah.
good way. Like
Right.
sort of shocked.
Having a way to like you know, even with WordPress, like some would argue that WordPress is getting to be too hard. Initially, when it was just a blogging software before it was fully a CMS, it
Mhm.
was a lot easier to just you know, you do the install, you start writing your posts, maybe you have a page or two like for about me or whatever, but for the most part you're just putting your thoughts online, you're getting them out there. You can still do that with WordPress, but now it's like, oh look, there's all these plugins and there's all these other things that you can do with WordPress, there's all of this, there's all of that. I know, Tucker, you got so frustrated with it, you started using
Wait,
micro.blog.
before you go to Hugo,
Sure.
before he goes to Hugo, I think that that departure from like, so I feel like this is why blogging feels like sort of archaic. And I
Yeah.
have clients who are like, well, it's not a blog, it's Muse, right? That's the old thing. And it's like the blogs are kind of like cool again, or they're not really. I'm not really sure where people are with blog. I think it's the worst name thing ever, honestly. But I blame capitalism for the failure of the public
Absolutely.
blog, because everything, you know, has to get monetized, which means, you know, landing pages and selling pages. And most of the, in terms of like getting online, that's really, you know, Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, and now I don't even know what it is, but essentially is, you know, that micro blogging sort of. So you got the micro blogging of social media over here, and then you've got the, on the other side, you have the, what are becoming like, you know, the page built, these big old monetized e-commerce sites, which, to be honest, you know, Squarespace, Shopify, Wix, all of those solutions, GoDaddy Builder, are all about what business are you building? Like, let's
Yep.
build out your pages. Let's build, like, their customer, their target focus is business, because business is bringing the money in, regardless of payment processors or whatever. So the focus is just for all of those content management systems that I'm putting in quotation marks, air quotes, that you may not be able to see. That's been the push. And so that's also happened with WordPress. And that is what has happened. I think that's part of the split from Gutenberg's that caused the original sort of Gutenberg tension.
Classic editor. Yeah.
The classic editor Gutenberg, because it was like, hey, you know, now we have to work to build something out. There's not just a simple way to, like, you know, I used to explain the site again with teaching, that was just like, it's like a Word doc, but just on your screen, and you just fill it out, whatever. And that was, you know, just one thing. It wasn't like you didn't have to make a bunch of other decisions. You didn't have to make a design decisions. You know, you just put your stuff out there and it's out there. And that ease is gone.
Right.
Even if you just put one, you know, you just want to do one thing, you could use the classic paragraph, I guess, but like just paragraphs, you know, they are blocks. They become design entities, sort of like, no matter, by default. You cannot have them not be a design entity when they're modular like that, because it breaks up the content into design pieces. So that's great for designers who are like, let me move this stuff around and make this a block quote. But for people who are not trying to worry about the design, there is now no just place to put your cohesive thought
Right.
on the internet easily. And
Yeah.
I believe that
Everything
you see,
everything is an element of presentation now.
yes, it's really shifted. And I believe that has a lot to do with who is designing what is happening with WordPress, honestly, and not to bring it back to the community, but I think it's being design led. So if you have
Yeah.
designers leading something, they're going to build design things. It's like, you know, if you have a hammer, you know, if someone uses a hammer, everything's a hammer, right? Like, they're like, let's nail it.
Right.
So developers are going to develop and designers are going to design. There's not a lot of writers for many reasons. Can't think of any reasons there wouldn't be any writers. There's not a lot of writers or people who are bringing that text as a block of its own, you know, a text block that is a real big block of text, a thought, as opposed to pieces of a thought. A bunch of all mixed together, as opposed to what is now you see so much of, which shocks me, is essentially blogging on Twitter/X.
Yep.
People are like, here's my blog. I'm like, this is a blog post. You could probably SEO this thing with 300 words. Why is this not on your blog? But because they've like switched, suddenly blogs are now like these pieces, these little individual thoughts plus comments. And then the, X and whatever is now all these like long form blog posts. Substack with all the newsletters, those are essentially blog posts. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
I think the thing was for me is like, I'm a systems administrator first before anything else. But when I have like something I want to write, the last thing I want to do is log in and find that my website is cached in like a broken state. And it looks like it's fine, from the front end, but on the back end, I log in and some plugin that made by some random person that screwed up something broke my site. I did an auto update failed. It
you're
broke
so
the
bitter
site.
about those forms.
And now I'm just like, I just want to write a freaking blog post. Now I got to sit here and be systems administrator to my blog? Are you kidding me? This is stupid.
Yes, exactly. That's really interesting.
And then once I'm in there, I don't want to go and update a bunch of plugins, and I don't want to go and do a bunch of extra stuff. And then I don't want to have to move around a bunch of paragraphs. I know how to copy and paste. I don't need to have some fancy copy and paster to move a bunch of stuff around on my blog. I just need to write some words, throw some images in there,
form text blog.
and hit the submit button.
And speaking of, I mean that is like, speaking of capitalism, speaking of like, I don't want to maintain this. I don't like, that is like the rise of a lot of VC and venture backed, because they see that there is a business model here. Managed WordPress hosts, any smart host that wants to make money goes, oh, I can help you update your plugins. I can make sure that your PHP version stays up to date.
Right.
I can take away
all of that drama.
Yeah, and it's a source of revenue for a number of companies now.
I don't do anything but managed hosting for my clients, because I don't want to deal with I don't even want to deal with any of that stuff.
Right.
Right.
Like, I don't want them to pay me to deal with it.
And that's what micro.blog did for me. Is it's just a managed Hugo setup. Like, I don't have to do nothing.
I knew you were going to bring Hugo up yourself.
I literally log in, I type in some stuff, I hit submit, and then a little processor on the back end that that the team over at micro.blog did, they just go and spit it out for you, and you're done. And I'm just like, okay, I finished writing my blog post.
Markdown? I always call Markdown.
Yeah, just all Markdown, nice and easy.
I guess because what? Like, it's either block editor or Markdown. These are our options. Like,
right.
Really, like, either, this is why I still write everything in Google Docs.
Handcrafted like, HTML.
Either you have everything where it's an element of design, see also blocks, or you have everything stripped away where it's just text and a few brackets and asterisks and octothorpes and a few other things like that. Yeah, you said hashtags earlier. I let it slide. It's octothorpes. All right.
I have never loved you more than this moment, Cosper.
And that
often that someone can give me a word or a term that I have never heard before, but my friend, I have never heard octothorpe before, and I am here for it.
Yeah,
I am going to go on an etymology deep dive after this show, and I cannot wait. What the hell does that mean? Octothorpe. Is that like literally? That sounds like a Spider-Man villain.
Look at
Octopus's middle name is Thorpe.
So what would be the one in the middle? The one in the middle is like the visual text editor that you would write in Microsoft Word and then copy and paste that text over to.
The classic paragraph editor, which exists because I have this terrible hybrid site. I don't even want to talk about it. But like it's the classic paragraph editor. The problem is the classic paragraph editor, which is literally like the tiny MCE in the block, is really bad. So that's why I was saying we need a long form text block. I loved me some tiny MCE, I guess. It was just, it's like Microsoft Paint. I love it like that, right? Like that's how I love the tiny MCE.
In this nice little raster glory.
There's gotta be something where you can just like, just select a term and hit bold, and it goes bold, but you don't have to and you can be like, okay, like there has to be a medium there.
Well,
that's why these other ones came up.
It's funny that you said there has to be a medium there, because medium
look at that. I didn't even mean to do that. I am so trendy. It's like fun.
Yeah, has a text editor like that. They've had a text editor like that.
Right.
It's fine, but you have to be a part of Medium's whole
Medium,
shtick.
who's got major paywalls and is stripping their API out of stuff.
Major paywalls?
I have major paywalls.
Major paywalls.
Oh my god, major paywalls. This is going to be like an alternate ego.
I think I was going to say, I think I just found another AKA major paywalls. No, so
2024 is the best. I got to tell you.
Agree to disagree.
It is rich with content. That is all I have to say.
For
but
sure.
That is major paywalls checking in.
No, so something I want to hit on before.
You're fighting in the data liberation front, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Major paywalls.
Actually, speaking of data liberation, and kind of some interesting alternate, and not Markdown. Say you'll be
Rosetta
thrilled.
Stone? Okay.
There is a tool that made its presence known to me just earlier this week. Yeah. Tucker, if you want to share that up on screen, I put it in our little show notes channel. There is a tool called Jibberish.
Wait. I need you to understand that I did not know it was spelled with a G. And now I'm like gibberish.
Yeah.
GIF. I was okay. Sorry.
Okay. So Jibberish goes and takes this, it does something actually novel and new and different.
Yeah, I like this.
It makes all of your posts look like a chat, look like text messages. So as you are having your thoughts, and if anybody has ever texted with Say, they know that she basically will type a line and then send another line and send another line. Yeah. So I was
thinking in my head, I'm like, it looks just like a message from me.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if she had to write those paragraph tags each time she did it? We should make her do that. She has to write the paragraph tag.
See, this is why I hate blocks, because I'm like, I just tried return.
So the fun thing about this, and actually, I think that this is ripe for if somebody who has time and knows maybe some Swift or wants to make like a web app. I think that it would be a really interesting exercise to do something like this for WordPress.
Or wait, hear me out. Just integrate it. Like get like a Jibberish block that like feeds in from your Jibberish or something. Because I'm really tired of everyone cloning everything else and then just like being like, here, we're gonna do our own version of it. Let's let Jibberish live. Except for I'm gonna call them Gibberish. Just to be funny.
Yeah. So there's no like API or nothing here.
But they're doing
I mean, they're brand new, aren't they?
Brand new.
They're brand new.
I like just got into the beta yesterday.
We are fancy and edgy.
That's fun. And it's $5.
Yep, well, $5 a month.
I mean, I think this is really interesting because this leads me into the WordPress mobile app, which I actually didn't have in my notes, but I think is really the missing link between, well, it's a missing link for sure between us and for sure like the younger generations, us being, WordPress just in general. And also just sort of the way that people talk and communicate now, like that texting thing, feels very modern, feels very relevant and now, because that is now and it is familiar, right? Whereas a Word doc format or the tiny MCE does seem very much more dated. It's like a little blinking DOS box or something. Feels that's old. But I think that the WordPress mobile app could, whether it's Jibberish or, text messages, because like I would like the blog to look not like text messages, even though I might want to blog like text messages.
The blog,
because that to me looks just like I'm like block, with each text message. So but I think it would be great for the WordPress mobile app to have a way to, I know blocks have not been super successful on the mobile app. I don't know where it's at right now, but
mobile first.
It seems like the mobile app is really ripe for that connection back to blogging, like getting things from your phone onto the internet, as opposed to, blogging with a website, because of just the dynamic connection and being able to have different accounts, which is very much more like an Instagram where you have different Instagrams, or a Twitter where you have different Twitters, so you can really if you can manage your different things. And again, not your sites, because everyone's got millions of ways to manage their sites. But if the WordPress mobile app could manage the content, not the pages, but things that were formulated, whether a post or a custom post type that takes on the post structure, right? Categories, that sort of content. Like, it makes a lot of sense for that to be what the WordPress mobile app really excels at, as opposed to sitting there on your phone and like trying to move blocks around with like your finger, or like hit the little up arrow button, or like be like, let me have like 10 fly out menus to add something on my phone.
The interesting thing about Jibberish is the blog entries get published like on the web. It's not just, they don't just exist in this app.
Cool.
And when they get published, each specific like text bubble in the app translates to a paragraph. Or I mean, technically,
this person and I have similar brains, I think.
Yeah. So technically, like each one of those, is
a paragraph. Is it? Yeah, it's a paragraph block or an image block.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's totally I mean, if you break down the structure of an article, it is blocks. I mean, that's not, it is there. It's just thinking about them all individually, as opposed to thinking about them as a cohesive whole, is really, it's just a perspective shift. And I think, it can be easier to think about things depending on where you're coming from, looking at it as individual design elements, or looking at it as a whole cohesive thought concept.
Yeah. I mean, there's people, there's people that write linearly, and then there's people that just like brain dump and go, okay, I'm going to move these paragraphs around. And I think that makes sense, but my brain doesn't work that way. I just want to spit stuff out, not edit it, push publish, and hope for the best.
We haven't even, I mean, there's no threading blocks yet. I guess there's lists, but that's not the same thing. But, comments obviously thread, and threading is huge, but like, how does that,
you could group blocks to like thread them, but it is a weird, funky kind of like workaround.
It's interesting. Anyway, well, I think that we just keep coming up with more work for the WordPress world. Like, let's fix the app. That's really, I think the mobile app is really, in terms of like, action takeaways, I think the mobile app is really neglected and has a lot of potential for just being a really good tool, a useful tool for even uploading content to your site, like images. So much easier if you can just take a picture, like think about from a client perspective or a blogger perspective, like out there taking a picture, posting to their site, having a little bit more robust capabilities, custom post types and all of that, makes that process just more seamless. Right now it's so clunky, and I think that it really has I think that is really the missing thing for blogging within WordPress. I think that is missing for blog/post content creation. There, the page builder that is essentially Gutenberg is a page builder, is not a post writer. And I think that is the difference. And we need, the mobile app could be that forum for post writing. And I think, writing like this, or even just whatever, like, I think it could really, like an iOS on an iPad, like the iOS version, or even, the mobile app could even be, in theory, right, on the desktop, but in app form. So it's not logging into your site to do all the back end management. It's logging into your content component, right? So it's really stripping that part and making it its own bubble, separate from site management. And I think that would really, we always have this like, oh, make it so there's no distraction on your page and no sidebars. And it's like, okay, but like, what about if I just want to have my phone? Right. Oh, it's coming up with work to do. Somebody should go do that, please, because I'm not.
Coming up with work for other people to do.
Yes. Oh, I come up with plenty for me to do too, but no, not that one for now. But I would love it if someone would go help build that. The mobile contributor team is really has a lack of people paying attention to it. Let's just say. So if you wanted to be on a team that was not problematic, you would probably want to pick that one. Anyway, that's fine.
Good tip.
Just a good tip, pro tip.
All right. Well, with that being said, I want to say thank you very much for hanging out with us today. We really appreciate it. We may be in the Aftercooler. If so, go over to WPwatercooler.com/.
You'll never know unless you go.
And go hang out over there. If you show up 2 days later in the Aftercooler, we know, because we see you stuck in there and you can't figure out what to do.
I consider sometimes popping in there when people are just in there, and I'm like, go hit the verify button.
Right.
The rules. If you do want to hang out in the Aftercooler after this, then you will be in there alone unless some random person comes in there and wants to talk to you and be a voice in the darkness.
Yep. Talk to y'all later. Here's our outro. Go over to our website at WPwatercooler.com/subscribe. You can subscribe to it over there. You can also take a look at the shows that we do, WP Watercooler, as well as Dev Branch. And we do Dev Branch once a month at the first week of the month. Talk to y'all later. You have a good one.
Bye. Happy Friday.